Was Sunday's vote a positive endorsement of Marine Le Pen's national rally or just a rejection, a protest vote against the president?
Well, thanks for having me. I think at this point, it's quite clear that we've kind of surpassed the era of protest votes. The national rally has a very large base, and that base mobilized in the vote on Sunday. Only to look at the participation figures. I think there's this kind of sense, especially on the left, that higher turnout would only benefit the left, that the far right does not do well in high turnout elections. But actually what we saw on Sunday is that you had the highest turnout since 1997 in a context of declining turnout. So people went out and voted they voted for the far right. The far right has a base that's growing, and they vote. So no, I think we're at this point really beyond a protest vote. We're talking about a share of the electorate that's quite large, that shares common views about the economy and perhaps most importantly, shares common views about immigration and French identity. That's really the kind of cement that brings together this diverse coalition.
And so what we have is something like 2/3 of voters there are voting for a far left and far right. So the extremes have gathered on both sides have gathered the majority. What sort of horse trading is likely to be going on ahead of Sunday's second vote as Macron centrists and the leftist alliance that came second as they call on voters to stop the far right?
Yeah, I think it's important just to stress that there are fundamental differences between we've heard this term about the extremes, but between the far right and then the left bloc. But certainly right now we've entered a phase where very quickly after those results started to come in on Sunday night. We saw essentially left-wing parties, so this broad coalition called the New Popular Front, which is a nod to the 1936 Popular Front that helped prevent the far right from winning power in France. We saw very quickly all the parties in this coalition call for withdrawing from races in which their candidate finished in third and in which the National Rally candidate finished in first. So effectively giving support to the Macronist candidate in the second round against the far right. And again, that second round is taking place next Sunday. So this is kind of this idea of the Republican front that many people thought was dead, this idea of voters joining together to stop the far right from winning. And then we've also seen, to some extent, Macronist candidates also withdrawing from these races in which they're qualified in third position. So that's the kind of horse trading that we're seeing going on. It's you have candidates really from both camps stepping aside in the hopes that the candidate best positioned to defeat the far right is able to do so. And that's really the best chance that the left and then the Macronists have if their goal is to prevent far right from winning an absolute majority, because there are 577 seats. All the far right needs to do is get 289, and they have an absolute majority at that point.